Good afternoon, my name is Kelly Gibson. Today we're here to do a presentation on the famously known Italian mathematician Luca Pacioli. This presentation was prepared by John McCulloch, John Lees-Gardiner, Sharon Clark, Calum Montgomery and myself, Kelly Gibson. To begin with, I will talk about the structure in which this presentation is going to be laid out. The structure of this presentation will consist of a background insight into the early life of Luca Pacioli, of growing up and how he became the father of accounting. There will then be a summary into the article which was written by Fisher 2000 about Luca Pacioli on business profits. We will talk about the ethical principles involved in this paper and critically analyse the role of accounting, which plays a large part of this paper, and an evaluation will be included at the end of the presentation. Luca Pacioli was a Franciscan friar born in San Sepolcro, Tuscany in 1445, and after going through early education he found a love for mathematics. Accounting was not yet published at this time. It was then that Luca Pacioli was going to discover accounting for today's use. He moved to Venice in 1464, where he tutored the three sons of a wealthy merchant named San Antonio de Rompiasi. When he was tutoring, he was able to write math textbooks before moving to Rome and becoming a teacher at university. Luca Pacioli shadowed the practices of leading Venetian merchants and traders. He then became a Franciscan friar during the years between 1472 and 1475. It was in 1494 in which Luca became well known for his writing of the Summa de Arithmetica, which he had been writing for over 30 years. Luca taught mathematics and also lived with Leonardo da Vinci in 1499. The paper, which was wrote by Fisher 2000, discusses the ethical views of Luca Pacioli and his publication of his famous Summa, which became widely circulated standard for accounting practices in today's use. Pacioli's Summa included the use of double-entry bookkeeping. Although Pacioli was not the inventor of this system, he was the first to publish it, where then the accusations of plagiarism came from compiling information from other scholars. At the time, the Summa was primarily a mathematics book. However, it was included in the first known printed works on bookkeeping and had its own section dedicated, thus one of the main factors leading him to become known as the father of accounting. Pacioli was often referred to as the father of accounting for his writings on bookkeeping and the pursuit of business profits. The paper briefly argues that the father of accounting or the father of profitability be more appropriate titles. The argument is taken no further, focusing between capitalism and the objective of calculations of profits. Any father of title creates a false impression that accounting practices originated with Pacioli and promotes a narrow, Eurocentric view of history. The double entry system is unique since it integrates with the income statement and balance sheet. Since Pacioli documented it, the fundamental principles have not changed. The double entry bookkeeping system was only one part of his legacy, and though perhaps the more important part was lost in the translation of his work. The paper with examples notes that these interjections are throughout Summa and concludes that Pacioli believed that seeking profit was both acceptable and necessary to ensure a successful business, but that profit seeking itself should be performed God before your eyes. The idea that both the Summa's translations to English and the concept business entity separate from individuals who run or own the business was key to raising Pacioli's contributions and perspectives on ethical business.
Now on to the critical analysis of the role of accounting. Pacioli's double-entry book system, documented in the book Summa, had been around for over 200 years before Pacioli wrote about it. Fisher states that the system had been developed by merchants and traders in Italy since the beginning of the 13th century. Pacioli's accounting system is based on three principal books. The memorandum, the journal, and a ledger require debit and credit transactions to balance. If these books don't balance, this indicates an error. The memorandum is where all events are recorded in order with all narrative explanation. It is the daybook of business. The journal is where the events are changed into debit and credit sections with basic explanations. And the ledger is where the debits are posted on the left of the page and credits on the right of the page. And the ledger is used in a systematic way for tracing back all transactions. Pacioli's views were that it would make for more efficient running of a business if books were kept logically and methodically. The double entry system he documented is still used to this day. Doing the bookkeeping in this way would in turn lead to an increase in profits. He also describes concepts such as true and fair view, reliability, consistency, and full disclosure. Since Pacioli wrote off these concepts and documented double entry in an easy to understand way, it is understandable why he's the poster boy for accounting. The double entry bookkeeping system put in place by Pacioli is clearly a very important system that has been used ever since. Along with the importance of it came some negatives. Pacioli did not invent these accounting practices, he edited others' work in order to properly describe the excellent system of double entry. He is widely criticised for plagiarising others' work, but he simply put others' work into his own words while referencing them. Pacioli has also been blamed for a major role in the rise of capitalism. The rationalistic pursuit of unlimited profits would not have been possible or effective without accounting as an instrument. The view of double entry and profit being connected to capitalism seems strange and in contradiction to his occupation in later life as a monk. The order do not believe in living a lavish lifestyle where others are poverty-stricken. Now on to the ethical views of the paper. The paper concludes with the idea that both Summer's translations to English and the concept of a business entity, separate from the individuals who run or own the business, was key to raising Pacioli's contributions and perspectives on ethical business. Pacioli believes that profits should be lawful. In his view, profits should also be reasonable as well as honest. And in this book, he continues to mention that businessmen should stick to law, as he has come across many who were punished for failing to comply with the law. Sartre describes it as being for others, which basically means through your own conduct, you're responsible for the way in which you appear in front of others, but the others still have to be happy with us acting how freely we want. Pacioli's ethical views were questioned when stating the goal of every businessman who intends to be successful is to make a lawful and reasonable profit. Many theorists question the use of the word reasonable, as they think you should gain as much profit as possible, but Pacioli disagrees and even believes that businessmen should share their success with people who are less fortunate. Pacioli's ethical business practices were overlooked. The depersonalisation of businesses' profits from business owners happens for the same reason that native people were demonised as cannibals and savages. Capitalism requires this process. Pacioli believed that seeking profit was both acceptable and necessary to ensure a successful business, but that profit seeking should itself be performed, in brackets, God before eyes, in other words, within reason, and a religious mindset towards charity and honesty. Pacioli wrote Summa in the Vancian dialect, which was an everyday language in that day, so it could be used by the average businessman. He could have wrote the book in Latin, which was used by most scholars, but he wrote it in the vulgar tongue of Italian just so anyone who wanted to learn the accounting process could, in order to get an income. There are two ways that people think around profits, one being that the goal of a business is to gain as much profit as possible, and the other is to question people's motives for the profit seeking. This basically means that the reasoning behind many businesses starting up is to make money, but also you have to question the motive behind this money making, if it's for personal gain or, like Pacioli thinks, it should be for charitable reasons only. In evaluation of the whole article, Pacioli was born and after studying fell in love with mathematics and further went on to learn about accounting. After studying the double entry book system, Pacioli wrote the book Summa, which brought together processes from a group of accounting enthusiasts. This system is still used to this day, and Fisher writes about the importance of this book and the ethical views behind it. Who knows what situation and what methods would be used to this day. Pacioli never made this book, so he's been a key figure in the accounting world. By writing this book, he is given all the credit of making up this accounting system when he wasn't the inventor, so the nickname Father of Accounting doesn't fit his profile. He has also received backlash and was claimed to be plagiarising. Obviously, these plagiarising charges never came to fruition as he referenced anyone's work he used. Pacioli also states in the book that business are all about profits, but the work should be lawful and honest. He also states profits should be shared around the less fortunate, but this practice is rarely followed. Thanks very much for listening. I've been Calum Montgomery.
And I've been Kelly Gibson.
Cheers, thanks again.
Thank you.